Right, we should be live. Been a little bit. I got called out on Discord earlier today. Oh, actually, only a couple hours ago. Asking if I was going to stream or if I was going to make it 20 days in a row. Oh well. Busted. But yeah, thanks for watching a VOD. I think I'm caught up on all the VODs in terms of them being scheduled. They should be coming out over the next week and change. And then we'll be caught up on VODs on YouTube. But yeah, thanks for checking it out. If anybody's watching the VODs on YouTube and you're under 30 and you're willing, drop a comment, maybe a little clue on how you found Eminem, and maybe a little bit on your gaming background if you're not one of the people that's already told us here or told us on Discord or whatever. Always curious about the youngsters. Hey, what's up? What's up, Bill? Hey, John. What's up, Coding Caffeine? Tenth Ton Man says, I was really excited, and then you said the age number. I mean, feel free to drop a comment on the VOD as well. You don't have to be under 30. G. Willikers, hello. I'm building a wiki for the Dreamworld MMO. Really? Is that one that was like in progress but then disappeared at some point? And now it's back? I only know it from like the videos on it. Hey Justin Beard, what's up? You're going to the foot doctor? I hope that goes well for you. Hey Lich. Actual age, Bill. Things are going well, man. How have you been? Yeah, it has been, when was the last stream? End of last month, right? The last stream was probably 3 weeks ago. It was before we went to OP Chernobyl for the OP Chernobyl airsoft event. Buckhold, hello. I'm gonna kill this and see what happens. Dreamworld's pretty good now? Interesting. Yeah, I'm not trying to pick on it or anything. All I know about it is from like various videos that were related to the Kickstarter drama. But you must be enjoying it if you're making a wiki for it. That's pretty cool then. Always nice to see a happy ending. See if I can get in. I haven't been in a client in a little bit. Been doing a lot of background stuff the last few weeks. There was the week leading into the airsoft weekend a few weeks ago, and I was just trying to not be sick for that because I'd just come back from the US and was feeling a little sick. Freaking air conditioning, in and out of air conditioning and heat got me when I was in the US. So spent the week trying to recover from that. Went to the airsoft thing. And that was sleeping in a rental van for like 3 days, but it was really, really good. It was a lot of fun. And then came back and was kind of sick from that, and didn't stream. And now here we are. It's just kind of worn out. So now we're back. It's all good. Things are awesome. Is cool. Hello? Am I saying that right? Welcome. Hyped for the next playtest, if there is any. There will be more playtests for sure. We're hoping to have at least one more before the end of the year. I try to be pretty non-committal. So at least one more before the end of the year seems like a safe thing to say. I mean, shit, we've got 2.5 more months. Even if it's a small one or whatever. And then next year you'll definitely be getting some play tests. So that'll be tight. If you're into that. Sounds like you are. Tupac helped you get the game running on a Steam Deck? Nice. I see you guys talking about that stuff in Discord from time to time. Find it pretty damn interesting. That's pretty cool. That's cool. Have you played in a previous playtest? Excuse me. Played in 2. Last one couldn't play because it couldn't connect for some reason. Well, that's a shame. From Latin America, so you think that's why. Where in Latin America? Hey, what's up, Dargeth? Argentina? No shit. So are your grandparents German? Nicodemus, what's on the agenda today? I'm thinking may just discuss some stuff leading into some of our zone discussions. I was thinking it might be fun to do like a little brainstorm here, gather some ideas of what people like about certain zone types. And so we haven't done a brainstorm in a while. I was looking at the various VODs because I was trying to get all the rest of mine scheduled, uploaded and scheduled. So I was looking at some of the VODs and was like, shit, we haven't done a brainstorm in a while. I'm probably also ask the folks here once we get going, what type of stuff they actually like to see in terms of development type stuff. Unfortunately, Nick's got a bunch of real life stuff going on right now. Otherwise, I definitely want to get some more streams with the team going, especially with Nick. I think it was really good to be able to have him here answering questions about class design abilities and things like that. So I'm excited for that VOD to hit. That's the last VOD I have scheduled, I think, because that was the last VOD before I've been gone for 20 days. As cool said, no Spanish from dad's heritage and Scottish from mom. Oh, right on. Are there many like MMO folks in Argentina? You got a big scene there? Or? Very curious. Yeah, my biggest question, John, with the Steam Deck is just UI. It's, you know, the people that have been asking for controller support and stuff like that in general. So it is definitely a challenge. I've worked on a multi-platform MMO before, DC Universe, and definitely saw the challenges that we had there. What zone is this? This is Glass Flats. It's just the final build out of this castle you've seen in a distance, or the tower you've seen in a distance in Glass Flats. This is now pretty done here. And then one of our newer designers, though not new to design, Jason. He was on the EQ2 team for like 11 years. This was his first base pop for us in here. So hopefully that answers your question, Lemon Candies. Let's see. Hey, Liz Biscuits, what's up? Liz says, I've been gone and she's been streaming. To check that out. Let me. Actually, if you wouldn't mind, if you shot me a DM with the link to your stream again, that would be cool. Is today's stream kind of skipping for anyone else, or is it just me? Good question. My bitrate shows as red, but I don't know. I've got fiber now. As cool says, most people play free MMOs or WoW. EverQuest is a rarity here. EverQuest wasn't popular here. Oh, that's fine. It's cool that they're playing WoW or have played WoW. There is huge. When you guys get up in levels a little bit, you'll be able to come over here some. Give you something new to do. Thank you, that's cool. Thanks for noticing. Zukin made this for me either this year or a while back, and I was so excited. No one told me my streams were weirding out, and then someone in passing said I couldn't say it was too skippy and the audio was messed up. And you didn't think to mention. Yeah, it's a bummer. That's why I ask. Because sometimes people just won't say if your shit's messed up. Go to the left and explore that Wormsbane area. What, up here? I don't know that I will. I don't want to spoil it for you. I just happen to be in this zone. I don't think I'm gonna spoil anything for you. But there's some cool stuff over here. We're gonna make it cooler. Yeah, Liz, that's true. Hey, before the M&M thing kicked off, I remember the wonderful days of streaming to one person. Yeah, the Beetles are relatively new as well. They're cool because they're lerpable, so we can mix and match the colors. Yeah, this is glass flats still. Lich. We have a weird thing with our we have a weird thing with our zone. Right? Because our zone count's probably only going to be like 12, 14 zones when we go into early access, but I mean, if you think about the size of some of the points of interest in areas within a zone, it's still... Yeah, the zones are fucking huge, Darkus. It's... there's a, you know, there's a lot here. So hopefully it feels good for you guys as you're exploring. I was just doing my busy work. Like Sunday, Monday, I was doing the busy work I've been needing to do, which is like fill in the spreadsheet of rares and named that can potentially drop items so that Nick and the guys can look at all that when they're doing itemization. And I mean, just Fallen Pass, it's got so many damn camps in it. 20 plus camps. So, and in, you know, in here, just this one area, like if I go up here, I mean, I think there's probably like 5 or 6 camps distributed through, because I'm not going to ruin it for you guys, but there is, you know, there are areas to explore up and through this mountain going into the tower, so. Who's the statue of? I can't tell you. Maybe when you're in next time. Maybe if you look there, maybe you'll get some more info. You're welcome for all of the camps. Right, so we got this area, a bunch of camps, and then we've got, you know, over here we got an area. Over in that corner we may have some stuff. There's some suspicious looking people up on the ledges. All sorts of stuff going on. Yeah, early access starts in 2026, not 2025. What's up, Brent? But yeah, I don't know if all that's populated yet. For some reason, I made the assumption that it's all populated. I know what the population's supposed to be for all of that up there, but I don't know if it's populated yet. I'll have to ask Jason. Are you guys planning for dungeon type flags on zones or even just areas, or dungeon XP bonus stuff like EQ did? We already have the ability to do that on a zone by zone basis. We haven't built that into like the ability to do that in a volume necessarily. That may be something for us to explore if we find that that we need it, especially now that zones are a little bit different than I think we suspected. Yeah, so Saren, sorry, I did not mean to ignore your hi. I've just been I was scattered. I was juggling like 4 topics as usual. Hello. Hello, friend. Let's see if this zone line works. I'm mainly just curious. Yeah, it's fun to get back to streaming, but I tell you, man, I was beat. I was beat there for a little while. I just probably into last week fully recovered from being sick. I didn't have an opportunity to just be sick. I was all the traveling and everything else. What's up, Burst? It's good to see you in here. Traveling's not. I mean, you travel more than I do, I think, Lich. So I can't complain. Hey, Darius. All the travel was good though. It was all good stuff. We were able to get 1 day of vacation in our week in the US. And so that was nice. I think I mentioned when I came back, dad's funeral was good. Hanging out with my stepmom was nice. Came back, had a week to basically try to recover. Went to the airsoft event. That was outstanding. That was stellar. That was so much fun. That was way more fun than I would have expected, and way cooler than I would have expected. Like I've never participated in a LARP event. So it was a nice combination of like standard airsoft plus tons of just fun LARPing in an incredible facility. Several kilometer facility with, it's an old decommissioned East German Air Force base. And it's just, now that it's kind of like, there's like ruins and things, the woods have grown up in different areas, but they've still got structures that are like taken care of, and then structures that are intact but clearly abandoned and completely unsafe. All that shit. So much fun, man. So much fun. Can't wait to see some more biomes. Last playtest was fantastic. Looking forward to the next. Uncle J 505 said, yeah, so additional biomes is something that I might brainstorm with you guys a little bit today. Did this move me? Yeah, it teleported me to the other side of the zone. The video is just insane. I mean, it was some of the coolest shit. It was cooler. So when I was in the army, we did a lot of MOUT training, military operations in urban terrain. And my unit for that was air assault unit. So we'd fly in on Black Hawks, sometimes, fast rope in or whatever, or just fly in. And they would set up like these nice training exercises for us in this little fake city area in Virginia. And this was way cooler than that. way cooler. Jasmine had a blast as well. Game needs some greenery. So we have forest coming up. It's already in progress. I don't know that I want to show you. I don't want to spoil everything for you. Have you seen any forest on other streams? Don't lie to me. Yeah, thanks, Ramby. I was in the army, but I was lower enlisted. I wasn't in for very long. but I'm always kind of take charge. Heh. Ramby said, "You definitely look like someone who has a leadership position in army." I was a punk ass E4. My dad was always Sergeant Lord to me though. Rune did not get to go to the airsoft event. Our we've got some issues. We got a couple bugs right now. It's one of the reasons why we're not doing a playtest. So there's your giant lemon candies. He's busted at the moment. G-Willikers asked, what was the LARPing part? Did you guys have specific combat situations or something? So each day culminated in a big 300 on 300 battle. But it was 5 factions. It was the military, the freedom fighters. So those were the 2 biggest military paramilitary factions. Really huge. They have vehicles, and those guys were less LARPy and more doing sort of military shit. And then there were the stalkers, because the name of the event OP Chernobyl is it's a LARP on stalker. So there were the stalkers who were going around the zone, like trying to collect artifacts and weird things and stuff in there. They had their own missions. Everybody had tons and tons of missions going on. Their commanders at the HQs would set them up. We had like it's a huge facility, so we each had our own HQs and stuff. And then the stalkers, scientists, bandits, and then there's some mutants strewn about. And yeah, without seeing the map, it's not going to sound as crazy as it was. Yeah, so Jasmine and I, we played bandits. Yeah, so a lot of the LARPing was just how you interact with people. Like you go walking down the road, or even when you first drive in, they're like, are you LARPing or not? We said, yeah, sure. So they had us pull over, and there's, military guys with their AKs and stuff. Open up the van, go through. We wound up bribing them a little bit, and because we had already brought candy and stuff for bribes, and all sorts of weird, tons of missions going on and things. And there's 2 of these guys, Bill. All that stuff. So yeah, if you're, I won't go on too much about it. But if you're interested, hit me up in my Discord, and I'll be happy to share some more images or whatever. It was fantastic. It was one of the, honestly, top 10 coolest things I've experienced in life. It was a lot of fun. And so there's a big 3,000 person, 3 faction event at that same place in May that we're going to. So, hey, Unchained. Did I use a German accent in my LARPing? No, I actually went super American because they're Germans, and that threw people off a fair bit, because they'd come up and they'd be like, what are you doing here? Right? Like a patrol or whatever would be like, what are you doing here? Or why bandits here? And I would just speak English, right? And try to act like I didn't speak German, and then Jasmine would speak German to him. Like, oh man, I didn't even, like, we were investigating like a Spetsnaz safe house, and we just walk up to him like, hey man, what you guys going on here? What's going on? You guys speak any English? It's just like threw him completely. So there were a lot of situations we were able to get out of without like getting into any gunfights or anything. I will tell the quick story. One of the funnier stories I thought was we're playing bandits, and like everybody's buying and selling drugs and all this stuff, right? Like these little little packets of like candy and vitamins and stuff. And at one point, all right, tell 2 stories. Fuck it. At one point, I sounded like Ned Flanders just then. Weird. At one point, Jasmine and I, there's this random small building, like 1-room building with a counter in it and barred windows and stuff. And we roll up there, and two bandits had set up like just a shop, and they were selling actual alcohol. People could actually get shots there for in-game rubles. Everything is rubles. In-game rubles. They had their own currency. It's cool. And you start with limited rubles and limited ammo, and then you kind of do missions or rob people or do whatever and build it up, shoot people and loot them. And so we're standing there and talking to these guys, and they're explaining their shop setup to us. And Jasmine's on the other side of the counter with the 2 guys looking at what they got. And I'm standing there, and all of a sudden I just hear BBs falling out everywhere. I'm like, did my weapon just break? What the fuck? Why are the BBs all over the ground? And I look, and there's a grenade. I'm like, oh, grenade. And then a second grenade comes in. This one actually pops, and like BBs go everywhere. So Jasmine was behind the counter. She's good. And I'm like, I'm just standing there. I immediately on hit, take out my hit flag. I'm dead. And proceeds to become a gunfight as they're trying to get in there. And the 3 of them are still alive behind the counter. And Jasmine's like, she's blasting at windows and stuff. But it was a good experience for her, because she's actually a really great pistol shot in real life. Like, goes to range, and she's a great shot, 25 meters, tight grouping. But she got the adrenaline dump, so she's like blind firing, not even looking through her sights. I was like, babe, if you had just focused, you would have. It wound up being like 4 stalkers that saw us go in there and decided to throw a grenade in. They were disappointed that they had blown up the shop too, because when they came in to like at the end of it, you get respawn. You get one heal if somebody's alive and they can bandage you. And if not, then you go back to your HQ and respawn, which is a long ass walk. But yeah, so once it all kind of finished out, the 2 bandits were like, dude, we had a shop here. And the stalkers were disappointed. Oh man, that sounds cool. We wouldn't have attacked if we knew that. And I was like, you threw a grenade in the doorway. Like, well, we saw you go in, so we just decided. I was like, I called him out. I was like, you guys were just so damn excited to use a grenade, weren't you? And yeah, so it was like, that was fun. So that was one thing. We third-partied some stalkers when they were attacking the Spetsnaz facility. I was like, Jasmine, let's just start shooting these guys in the back. And so that was kind of fun. Had the sniper rifle out and was plinking. And then, so I caused a bit of a controversy. I caused an incident, international incident. But I'm role-playing an American bandit, so it's all good. Would guns, crossbows ever make an M&M as alternate to bows? Nah. Nope. No guns. Probably no crossbows. I think we talked about crossbows before. It'd be another set of animations and kind of maybe. I think where Pattis said he would draw the line is no crossbow pistols. But anyway, so, and this will be the last OP Chernobyl story, unless you want to hit my Discord. But this one's fun. So anyways, we're bandits. The Freiheit are kind of aligned with us that day, whereas the military's kind of out to get us, but we had made friends with them and had even one of their squad patches we could flash. And the Freiheit guys, the freedom fighters, were kind of dicks the whole time, to be honest. They kind of talked down to us because we're bandits and like, what are you doing here? You need to get out of our sight. You got anything for us? Kind of like, just flexing because they roll around in squads. And so Jasmine and I are there, and we're near, but not close, but like we're, 15, 20 meters from this one of the scientists' buildings where they've got like this drug lab where they'll like check blue light check to see if your drugs are real and buy them from you and stuff. And we decided we didn't want to bother with it. So we're deciding where to go to next. And I see the Freiheit guys, and I was told the freedom fighters tend to buy drugs off you. Plus, they're probably going to go in the lab and sell them anyway. So I was like, I walk up, I'm like, hey guys, you want to party? And I was like, I got drugs. And so they're kind of laughing and stuff. And the leader, you know, their squad leader comes over and he's like, what do you have? You know? And take some out of my pocket and I hold it, and he you know, where you can see it, he just grabs it. I'm not thinking of it. He just takes it from me. He's like, this is mine now, and turns around and walks off. And so he starts walking off, and he just stole my stuff. And I'm like, well, I'm a bandit and I'm American, so that's not going to work. So I pull my pistol, and you know, his whole squad's there. They got their guns on the ground. They're just kind of chilling out, I guess, waiting to go into this place. But again, we're not right next to it. We're about 15 meters away. And so I just pull my pistol out and go, hey. And he turns around, I blast him in the chest. I mean, he's wearing a plate carrier, so I know I'm not injuring him or anything, even though it's 2-3 meters away or whatever. I just go, bam, and his buddy turns around and I blast him as well. And they immediately start screaming, we're in the safe zone. It's the safe zone. You can't shoot. We're in the safe zone. I'm like, I don't see a damn sign that says safe zone anywhere near here, guys. Sorry. You're not in the safe zone. We're in the safe zone. I was like, you just robbed me, so you're no longer in the safe zone. But anyways, there were some people upset. They felt that that was against the rules. Yeah, so we worked it out with them. We eventually worked it out with him. But I got my drugs and his drugs. So yeah, I didn't feel it was appropriate to steal in the safe zone. All right, so that's it for those stories. You guys were talking biomes, and that's actually, I think, what I want to talk about a little bit in terms of brainstorming. I just hopped into here to have something in the background while we got some people in here, and then we could do a little brainstorming exercise. Unchained said I was terrible with pistol and until I went to Blackwater's training facility in North Carolina. Yeah, it seemed like they had a lot of people go through there. Actually learned something. I'm very curious about Shrek's online training stuff. Might get that for Jasmine. See if that improves her shooting game, but she's already great. Is it his real name John McPhee? Caffey? McPhee? I just know him as Shrek. Former Delta guy. So let's scroll up and see what you guys... Dark Forest, like Fearout would be cool. Highlands would be a cool biome, like cliffs and hills of Scotland, Ireland. It is on our map. We want to do that later on. That was on the map. We showed a few biomes during the biome jam. And yeah, what do you mean first? Forest biome might still be available. The rest definitely are. What do you mean? Do you switch aiming based on your position? Are you ambidextrous like that? I try not to, if possible. So there is some stuff going on with the forest, but I think the forest Biome Jam forest is still intact, I believe. And then we have the new zone that's been derived from that work is separate. Speaking of, Bill is the dude that's working on it. Will the island expeditions be like tropical islands or some other biome? It'll be a mix of desert and tropical islands. Oh, sorry, the expeditions. That may be even more tropical than the ones that you see, because we've got some islands offshore that you're going to travel through when you're on the ship heading north. So, hey, Chinny D, bunch of people in here now. Let me see. It's cool that some of you are in here for this topic. It'll be an interesting one. I'll see how productive it is or what we can do with it. But I was thinking about this earlier today and I thought it might be fun. You know what? Let me switch to, and this will probably, oh, it came up on the right side. Nice. So it didn't spoil anything for you guys. Bill, I saw the conversation in Discord about the changes to the query, and I didn't have time to respond in there. But I saw you guys talking about it, and I wanted to clarify something. So I'll just do it here. So, like, the changes to the query that I had recommended in that video that I made for you were based on certain criteria, right? And I'd have to go back and look at the video, but hopefully I framed it this way because I'm hoping that whenever I'm providing feedback that I'm doing it in the following manner. When I look at something that you guys are working on and I'm going to provide feedback, I'm trying to make sure that I'm asking you what the intent is, first and foremost. Because if I look at something and I don't understand your intent, I can provide feedback, but that feedback may be overriding perfectly valid intent. So I'm trying to understand intent a lot of the times. Now, when I'm providing feedback and I don't have clarification of the intent up front, but I still need to provide feedback where it's been requested or whatever, what I try to do is frame it as, depending on the intent, this may be valid or this may be a change that I would consider, right? And so with regards to the feedback on the query, I think there were some questions in there, but again, I'd have to rewatch the video, which I'd hate to do because I hate hearing myself, but I'd have to check it out to confirm. But I would hope that the instructions were something along the lines of, if the intent of there being a bunch of, like a lot of NPCs all in this area moving around, is that it's meant to provide a specific challenge, and there's a proper motivation, proper incentive, like a reward or whatever, then that's fine. But if there isn't something that's motivating the behavior or rewarding the challenge, then that will likely lead to this area becoming underused because there'll be plenty of risk and not any real reward. So like if there's a rare beetle, or I would say in that case, not even rare, a relatively rare, semi-common beetle that you're after, and you know it's there, or you can identify that through, over time or whatever, and then the intent is for that to be very dangerous to get them because they don't necessarily have the beetle itself is not necessarily super dangerous, but just where it is, its position within this mix makes it more of a challenge. Like if the chitin chitin. I tend to say chitin. If the chitin that you need for like a quest or a trade skill comes off these specific beetles and then they're in the mix, then okay, then I can see that being a thing. But if you're intending for it to just be a area where people go and they're kind of happy XP grinding and there's some drops or whatever, but you know, it's supposed to be kind of like the other places you could go XP, then I would look at a different distribution of the NPCs. So that's what the intent of my feedback was like, hey, as long as it's hitting a specific intent and you're happy with it, cool. But if there's just a bunch of mobs together, that could easily be a situation where people look at it and go, hey, this is pretty chaotic, this is pretty dangerous, and there's not really a good reward for the danger. And so it might get underutilized. McAaron says, I like the quarry design of neutral mobs at the edge that a mid-range group gets, then low level at the floor of the lower level, that lower level groups do, then again, deeper in the center named higher level mobs. Yeah, I don't know that part of it should have changed, right? Like level ranges and stuff like that weren't commented on. It was just more of, as you said, though I will admit currently the quarry is a death trap. It was just more of a, because, and I'm speaking from a point of like having done a few mob fields over the years, it's hitting that right sort of balance where people will use it. Or the other intent I might have mentioned is if it's meant to be dangerous and you have to get through it in order to get to a camp or something like that, then that also makes sense. So that's one of the things I wanted to clarify on that, Bill. I didn't. It was weird. Like Discord was working on my phone, but I keep having this problem on my PC where Discord, I'll start it and it just won't start, and I have to go kill the processes and blah 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 and start it over. Cool. So back to biomes. Cloud Forest is cool. Real world biome. I haven't seen any game really. Cloud Forest. Let me see. I'm picturing like mountainy kind of rainforest. Also called water forest, prima forest, tropical montane cloud forest. Oh, neat. Yeah, that makes sense. Looks like Appalachia, different times of the day. Yeah, that's real cool. Kumadar says, this is useful for me to hear because I interpreted your feedback as a more prescriptive than that. Don't mind me. Created a new Twitch account. It gave me a warning. Possible ban evader monitoring. Are you a ban evader? Hey, Ishwatare. Moin moin. Yeah, so hopefully you took it as that as well, Bill. It wasn't like new employee, ban evader, etc. Yeah. Dargeth asks, do you guys do any even light design docs for things like POIs or encounter designs that would lay out goals and objectives of the design? We do light documentation for... We do a mix. We're kind of all over the place. We're pretty documentation light, but then we've got pretty deep or pretty dense documentation for other things. All within like even looking at a zone. I'm trying to see if there's a way to show you guys some of what we have. And so at the highest, like kind of highest level, we've got very light documentation for kind of the world because there's just so much of it to build. Then for zones, we've got a range, right? So here I'll show you. I'll show you something that's not a spoiler, I don't think. Let's see. Watch, this will wind up screwing the pooch, but let's give it a try. Do this. We'll do this. All right. So then we'll get even more specific, and some of it will be pretty detailed. And then depending on the designer that's working in the zone, it may be sort of a continuation of this documentation, right? Like it'll get into even more details. Like, and keep in mind, we're looking at 0.0 here. And so there's a ton of info. And I don't think, I mean, even if you guys go back and like freeze this, look at it frame by frame, you're not going to see anything crazy here. No real spoilers, so don't bother. But, or bother, I don't care. And then the individual designer can document as much as they want. Like I think with something like the starter quests, I documented the whole quest and had like a baseline document, like everything is written out. Just because I kind of have a format that I like to use to write up quests, and so I documented all of that and then did a lot of copy paste into the database because that's how I always did it. For the for something like Fallen Pass, which I was just showing you documentation on, once you get in there and you start doing encounters and stuff, then I I'm bad about like trying to document every bit of it. So the documentation that we have in our Confluence, our wiki, will get you into the ballpark. But then honestly, the most up-to-date document is typically a database. And then like Bill was saying, he documents like his quests and encounters and stuff. I think he's documented all that stuff, and we'll create like a sub page for the sub page. He'll create like sub pages, and we've done that as we've blown certain things out. I know even within that zone, if I went back and looked, I think probably blown some stuff out, and so created sub pages to contain some of the extra details. So it's honestly, it's a mix. I've, in my experience working on these things, I've seen EverQuest expansions get built with a page worth of documentation. I've seen, expansions where one zone will have like a paragraph and that will be all the documentation and the rest is just implemented. And then I've seen other designers walk into the same sort of expansion meeting, like Plains, with a 20-page design doc for their zone. Right. So it's just, yeah, you never know. So it's interesting looking at that map. There's this stuff. Oops, didn't mean to full screen it. There's this stuff. But this is just one map of, let me see, I don't want to. I mean, there's just a huge amount of text describing background and stuff because this is something that Hamad really went full bore with. But then here's the original map. Let me make sure, and I'll unhide it. And here's the map that Bill actually, so Nicodemus here in chat, drew this map up. He does beautiful map. So this map is the one that led to the creation of the map that we're in now, right? Like, yeah, isn't this a great map? And then that's what led to this, which is a screenshot of the map as it was in progress, which there's going to be like a delta. It's not actually, it's not Tel Saman, it's Saman. It's again, that's what happens with documentation. Stuff gets kind of out of whack. It gets deprecated. Tel Saman is the little area near town, which is like Saman Hill. But then there's upper and lower Saman here, which is, this was the core of Saman back in the day. And so what we'll wind up doing is we'll have that map that Bill did, and then it'll say something like, I was just looking at some stuff in Vale of Zentar earlier today, and there's some stuff that's like labeled as like bat caves. And the more I was looking at them, I was like, oh, I want to follow up with the team and maybe see if we put something else in there that's actually different. Right? So that's, I mean, development is just very fluid. It's very iterative. If you try to like keep everything super tight and everything's always documented and we only take action based on what's documented and all that shit, it's just, you get real slow, and you can do it that way. It's just, yeah. Wasn't sure if it's somehow connected to Telekir. So Tel means a hill and or mountain in that old language. And so that's why you've got a Telekir, and that's why you've got like Tel Saman, things like that. But anyway, that is that's in response to the documentation question. So it's nice to have documentation. Documentation is good. As John said, documentation makes it easier to figure things out, but then documentation either has to be followed precisely when it comes to implementation. In my experience, that does not happen. That's pretty rare. Because you get in and you just start tweaking shit, and you documented this, and the artist kind of freestyled that, and next thing you know, you're looking at it, you're like, oh, what about this other thing? Or I thought we were going to have these mobs, now we don't have these mobs. Or hey, I'm looking at these bat caves, but wouldn't it be cool if we put this other thing in there now? Right? And so if you do that, which inevitably you're going to do, then you've got to update the documentation. Right? And so it's great when we update the documentation, but updating the documentation is also additional work. And so depending on what's going on, you may or may not have time for that. We have got we've got a new content designer, and we've got a editor/writer. And so we may find that we're able to keep some documentation more up to date. But we'll see. But in my experience, keeping documentation up to date is it's a big challenge. I would say we've got some of the best documentation of a project that, of all the projects I've seen, not just worked on, but I've seen firsthand. So those of you that are on the team, you should, when you look at it, you're like, wow, that's because our documentation, so it's, you know, we've got a lot of missing documentation or things are deprecated. Keep that in mind. I've just seen a lot less or a lot worse in the past. Do you even document things like put this or this or this here, or have it fill this theme, or is it that too nebulous? Like I said, it could be one sentence could lead to the creation of a zone, or it could be a completely fleshed out, super highly documented zone, like the stuff that I was just showing you. I didn't show the walls and walls and walls of text, and every point of interest in there has got like half a full page of just description, and worked with Hamad to come up with NPC name ideas and all this stuff. And even within that, once we got in there, because the person that was writing the original documentation is not the person implementing it, then shit changes. So I've seen a lot of time wasted on documentation, and a lot of work that was ultimately created not based on any of the documentation. Do you have a list of commandments that are a guiding light to all design decisions, like they're referenced multiple times per zone, or more relaxed? More relaxed. We've got our shit that we've had documented for 4 years. Like, these are our pillars or whatever. At the end of the day, it's just got to be a thing where, sure, you can have something there that gets people kind of like guided in the right direction. I've never found like pillars, vision statements, like mission, vision, values, all that stuff. I've seen a lot of wasted effort on that shit, where, hey, articulate what it is that you guys as the leaders of the project are wanting to do. I think we've done that. You can reference it whenever, but then at the end of the day, it needs to be like a day-to-day, week-to-week interaction with the team, constantly reiterating like the vibe and this is right, this isn't right. Right? Like, it's such an active. I think I've seen a number of places try to replace true leadership with like well-crafted mission, vision, and value statement. And at the end of the day, it's cool to have them, especially for people that are absolutely new to what you're doing. But leadership is a day-to-day thing, not it's not writing up 2 stone tablets and having people check those regularly, at least in my experience. But I don't know, I could be a fucking horrible leader. I don't know. This may all just be, we're on a flaming Titanic right now, and that'll make itself known in the next year and change. But hopefully not. Hopefully we're doing as good a job as I think we're doing. Hopefully the team feels like we're doing good stuff. I mean, they stuck around with this being a part-time. This is a volunteer effort for these guys, and these guys are putting in years of their life to make it happen. So I'm assuming they're fairly happy with the way shit's going. Documentation for certain things, I guess I should say. Quests, for example, would be great to be documented with a template if possible. It's just the template would be just making sure that we have this stuff in there. I mean, I have a template for how I start every quest. I can't write a quest without the template, but the documentation winds up then getting out of date, and it's like, and maybe it's just laziness or whatever, but then getting the changes that were made, especially like, oh shit, John, you did this especially to us. You had so much feedback on those before you were on the team, even so much feedback on the quests. Then I've got to go update 2 places constantly. I got to update the database and then go update on the document. Update database stuff. Oh, I need to change this and go back and change that. That's the right way to do it. I don't know that I've seen that happen very often in life. But again, maybe that's why Company X is so successful. They do that. Dargit says, where I'm at, we have separate. While we're rambling about this shit, I'm gonna have something in the background. Dargit says, where I'm at, we have separate documents for like the vision objectives of a feature versus the implementation details and content sheets. Former is outward facing to the wider team to convey intent. The other is more attached sheet for the IC. If that works well for you guys, then that's awesome. And I'm not saying that facetiously either. It's just, I would say this project has put me outside of my comfort zone at times with regards to project management and things like that. And still, I think we're better for it. It's just we're just more oriented towards getting stuff done. And I would say this coming year, relative to previous years, needs to be even more so. Like we've just got to be really focused on making player-facing content, and whatever makes that happen fastest and bestest is the most important thing. So those of you that are like being very complimentary and appreciate it, it's like, oh, you guys have been getting tons of shit done, all that. Like, glad you appreciate our work to date. I feel we've got to pick up the pace even more this next year. Who's going to leak the lore documentation, please? Hopefully nobody. There's a lot of surprises we want you to just discover. John said, we have some of the best documentation, the most beautiful, some would say perfect documentation with the best words. Some would say that. John, you might say that. I wouldn't say that. We have the best documentation. Yeah, Long Dong. Thank you, Long Dong. That it's really insane progress made. Whatever you're doing is working from an outside perspective. Yep, I think it's been pretty awesome, and I'm trying to like not bull. There's no value in bullshitting ourselves. You know, there's no value in bullshitting the team. You can give pep talks and encourage them or whatever, but there's no. At some point, the proof is in the pudding. Right, like. At some point, you guys are either going to be able to get in and play and you're going to enjoy it. There's going to be enough there, or there's not. And so I think it'd be really, really unfair to the team to blow smoke up their ass for years and then be like, oh, yeah, project's kind of fucked. Sorry, we didn't make it. Right. And so honestly, my hope is just to do the opposite and just be like, hey, this is. Here are real facts. Here's where we're at. Here's what we need to do. And then just do everything possible to be successful for the, that's the kindest thing to do. And even with that said, it's been a really positive experience. And so it's been nice, like being able to talk to the team and be like, hey, this shit's actually going pretty well compared to what I've seen here and here, or here's where I've seen like a problem on past teams and we're doing a good job avoiding this. Maybe not that. But that's why I'm also saying right now the focus, for me at least, as I'm thinking about this coming year and working with Nick and Ollie and the team on like planning and stuff, is really being focused on how do we pick up the pace in certain areas. Right. And, I'm having some discussions with different individuals and DMs, or having discussions with the team in little messages like the ones I sent out, whatever, the last couple of days. Right. Where it's like, hey, we're doing good here and here, but we've got to pick up the pace there and there. And we've done a great job so far, but I also think we've done a great job while looking at the fact that people are still ramping into their roles. Like, this year's been, a lot of new people coming onto the team, and we got, folks that are doing a great job, like Nicodemus. I was just showing you the stuff that he's drawn, and talking about the query that he's implemented. All of that is ramp up, right? Like, we need to be able to do that type of stuff, just rolling, knocking that stuff out. And then hopefully, if we can do that, we'll not only hit our goals for early access, but maybe even exceed them, right? And so exceeding them for us may not look like a bunch more zones or whatever, though we've already got some zones that we've never mentioned before that are already little dungeons here and there, kind of things that are being added into the mix. That'll be a nice surprise, but good job, Chinny and Bjorn and folks. But It would be nice. We've done some pretty impressive zones, and it'd be nice that as we're hitting the biomes, up north, we're starting to hit like some of the island zones, and we're starting to hit the temperate and forest zones to the north. It'd be nice to like be able to get more of that in and have them be, as detailed as some of these zones here, with as many interesting little nooks and crannies and blown out POIs and stuff like that. So, when it comes time, will there be a closed player test we can apply for to be Johnson or Wright and look for bugs? We'll likely do some sort of testing on top of the continued public tests. We don't know what that's going to look like yet. It was funny, we were having a conversation about that recently, and it's kind of like, oh, it's a bummer for folks that don't get a chance to get in it, and what's the criteria and all that. At the end of the day, I think, this is just me speaking, I think the best approach for it is just to say, hey, we are going to have, a limited capacity closed test, or maybe we even just let people stream that as well or something. I don't know. But we're going to have some additional testing, and not everybody's going to be in it. I'm sorry. So, but we'll see how it goes. If we, so Bill said success to me is if we make it to EA, people play it and enjoy it, no matter how many people play it, feel like we succeeded. If we, well, honestly, at this point, I don't even have to like cushion it a little bit with like an if. When we hit early access, which we will, then I will, honestly, I feel that's a pretty huge success for a team that's a bunch of volunteers making an MMO with no budget. So when we hit early access, that'll be a nice one. That should feel like an achievement to everybody on the team, because I've watched startups with cash not be able to do that. We've seen a couple of them come and go since we've started this. So, hey, Red Cloud, what's up, Chex? What's up, other people who came in that I did not acknowledge yet, but thank you for being here. Sazerac Sound says, I figure there's multiple types of documentation. One is specifics like change logs, and the other is to look and see if you're on target in overall direction. Like once you dive into something on a micro level, having the overall lets you make sure that it hits the macro level vibe. Yeah, and like I said, I mean, I'm downplaying documentation, but I feel like we've got a fair amount of it, and we'll just keep adding more. So. This game is being made by volunteers. Green Jericho, welcome. Yeah, but I mean, there's a decent number of us now. I mean, we've spent money. So we've paid out of pocket. We're probably, I have to look at the books again. Sometimes we get lazy and update them every other month or so. But we've probably spent, about $100,000 out of pocket so far. I'd have to look at it. If you look at the bottom of that page, there's a breakdown of the financials as of the end of last year when we posted this. If you scroll down here, so 2020 through 2023, we had spent about $70,000 out of pocket. And so we'll update this year. Meant to do it like quarterly, but again, allocation of time. So, we've probably spent, I have to look, probably spent at least $100,000 then, because we've got regular expenses. Is it open source? It is not open source. We've got a dedicated team. We've got a fortunately, very fortunately for us, we've got a very consistent, pretty stable, dedicated team. We're at 30 people right now. And we've got folks that have been working on it for, several years now. And folks that have come on this year and folks that have come on within the last month. So let's see. Be happy if the release date gets pushed back, to be honest. Same if EA gets pushed back 6 months, I won't be mad. Oh, we'll see how it goes. Very curious to see how things go for Pantheon. We'll be watching them and learning what we can from their early access. That'll be cool. I wonder if you could talk about some of the sound design tenets that are being used. Love music, but I wonder what's guiding the other sounds in the game. I can speak extremely loosely on that. It's not necessarily my wheelhouse, but I can speak to what we've been trying to do at a high level. So really trying to, with a lot of the sounds, tap into everything about the project's really trying to tap into nostalgia. And that nostalgia is rooted in things even like, some of the sound effects, we'll talk about inspiration for them, and it'll be old Hanna-Barbera style Saturday morning cartoons, right? Like everything's supposed to create this vibe of putting ourselves in the heads of the dudes that were making the MMOs in the late 90s, early 2000s, but late 90s, or people that were working on MUDs, and like, so what was in their mind's eye when they were making those games, or like old CRPGs or whatever. And a lot of those games looked the way they did or had no graphics based on the limitations at the time. But a lot of what's driving this is picturing the old art, the book covers, if you remember the old D&D books, the art that you'd see in like, the various Dungeons and Dragons manuals and modules and stuff, and album cover art and all of that stuff. Well, you asked about sound, but I think that art really ties into the sound, right? Like what were the sounds at the time? And so when Robert's working on that, and he's really the guy to talk to. If you go into our Discord and ping Robert, he's the dude in charge of audio and music. All the music we're listening to is our original soundtrack, and you can check the playlist there. And so a lot of it's just meant to like push various nostalgia buttons, like this music we're listening to right now. Right, it's just got that old like console RPG feel to it. And so, but a lot of synth, a lot of just allowing ourselves to get weird. One of the zones, and it's funny that when people listen to the music, they actually spot the influence. Like one of the zones, Robert was asking, hey, what inspiration do you have in mind for this zone? And it was like, oh, well, we want something that's kind of melancholy because, while it is undead and stuff, like why are they undead, blah, blah, blah. And so throughout the hey, could we do something that riffs off of Twin Peaks? And he's just like, oh yeah, on it. Immediately was just vibing on it. It was just like, Twin Peaks, oh yeah, right? And it's shit like that it's really fun to not sit here and just try to make another stereotypical fantasy game, but really try to make something that feels like the old, the old vibe, the old sorry, I'm fucking around with like this, trying to get this window, this display capture properly set up here. Oh, I guess there's gonna be some clipping in Streamlabs. Robert's composition for Eminem will be legendary. It is stellar. I mean, I love it. I know the team's hyped on it as well. Sarazak Sound says, yeah, it has the older feel, but not the unpolished sound that existed due to size, technical limitations. That kind of thing, right? It's the same thing. It's like when we've been talking about environments and textures and stuff, it's like, how do we keep it blocky and old school and, you know, referential feeling while also keeping it hand painted feeling, but also increasing the fidelity, right? Like, will this area have quests related to the cultists that appear, or is it just an event that happens? There's already some quests. There's at least one quest stemming from this stuff. But over time, we'll probably be able to tag it with more. And the monotonous, well, I watched that video earlier today, was talking about cults and asking about cults. I'll go ahead and spoil it. There will be, hey, speaking of cultists and speaking of monotonous, to answer your question from your video, it is not one cult. Now there may be cults that influence smaller cults, but it is not one cult, and it's going to be fun having a nice variety. Scheiden says, Sean, I recently installed Unity. I have 0 experience. Any advice for someone looking to design? Try the Unity tutorials if you want to just get experience with the editor and the functionality. If you're looking to design, if you don't have anything in mind that you want to design already, find something that you like and emulate it and riff on that. Try to recreate something that you like. One of my early memories of kind of video game design, even though I don't necessarily frame it that way, and I'm not one of these people that's like, oh, I always knew I was going to be a designer. I had no fucking clue before I got into the industry. Was I would watch the older kids play Dragon's Lair at the arcade, and then I would go home and I would try to recreate Dragon's Lair levels or scenes with my Legos. Right? So I think there's a certain amount of emulation that is helpful. Like looking at something else and then deciding, all right, yeah, I wonder how I would build this, and then deconstructing what it's made of, and then building your version of it, and then riffing on it and changing a little bit. It's easier to change an element and see what happens than it is to try to build the entire thing from scratch, completely original, right? Like, if that makes sense, it's easier to build a thing from scratch if you're replicating a thing and then tweak aspects of it until over time it becomes your own creation. And it really becomes, it's more a question of like, what you want to do as a designer. Right? Because that's a very broad field. Udemy has great courses that go on sale for cheap. I would say before you spend any money at all, though, just go to YouTube. But hey, Curly Goblin. Curly Goblin's got a game coming out as well. Here. I was going to say you can link it, but I can just grab it from here. Copy. Link. Basically, any question you have, you can just type it into YouTube. Like, how do I do blah? And someone's got a tutorial. Some of the tutorials, they may be kind of hard to understand their English or whatever. You can poke around and see if you can just watch what they're clicking on. Some of the tutorials are awesome. Some of them are kind of shitty and you got to triangulate. But, I mean, I'm not a very technical person. And I mean, I was able to use YouTube to like learn how to sideload shit onto an old phone to create like, this was like 2017, like install SDKs for augmented reality shit on an old phone, get that working. Like, I mean, if I can do it, anybody can do it. Manana said, thank you so much for watching the video, by the way. Thanks for making the video. We should be thanking you. You don't have to thank us. It was fun. I honestly, I watched your video, Monotonous, and it got me hyped on the game. I watched your video. I was like, that game's really cool. Oh shit, we gotta finish this. And oh, I threw those cultists in there, but I've never gone back to really like formalize it. One of the drop that you found in there, they're not supposed to drop that. I just grabbed the cultists. I just grabbed the cultists from here and put them, like copied them or whatever. And I think they probably still have their tag or whatever that's loading that loot on there. Do I have a link to the video? Do you have it offhand? Otherwise I can dig. It'll only take me a second. But not this. Feel free to post it here. If you don't have it on hand, it'll only take me a minute to get it. I just have to tap over. First said Unity has free courses. Code Monkey on YouTube has some free Unity C# programming. There's a ton of various graphical effects shaders you may want to do. Yeah, I mean, just YouTube's got a ton. In the dual clips demo that I linked, if you mouse over it, you can see what's going on with it, and you can see Curly Goblin has created it. And there's the video link. Cool. Those of you that are watching the VOD here. Because you're not seeing chat properly. That way you can find that. And if I leave this up long enough, maybe I'll remember to maybe link it in the description or whatever. But hey, your game's come a long way, Curly Goblin, since I first saw it. That's super. And then Monotonous's video here. Then we'll see if I can do it in a way where it's easy for you to... Oops, that's not it. That's Robert's. And you can find it here. Okay. That's a good question. Have you seen a big boom in downloads since the fest started, the next fest started, Curly Goblin? Shiden, if you're overwhelmed by the Unity stuff, I'm telling you, just the Unity tutorial, just start with the Unity tutorial. Make it exactly as they described it. Like, just make something and have it work. And then look at it and go, Wouldn't it be different instead of, you know, a spaceship flying around or, you know, like a, whatever it is, like their little ISO shooter or whatever, like doll running around. Let me swap out this asset, or let me make the gun work different, and start tweaking those like little variables or things in there, and then, you know, go from there. But just don't try to be 100% original at first. Just try to make the thing as described, and then get crazy from there. Curly Goblin said, yes, I got a 1500% spike in wish list on the first day, about 10x as many players and downloads each day from before the next fest. I was looking to see if it shows like how many people wishlisted and stuff. I don't know if that's public knowledge. If it isn't, I'd be curious. You should shoot me a DM. I'm curious to see how it's doing. Because I'm rooting for you. Shine says, thanks for the advice, Sean. I thought I had the mental capacity to just jump in, think there wasn't much to do. Learned quickly that there's a lot more than expected. Yeah. Yeah. And because, I mean, if you're talking about, because you're not just talking about design, right? You're talking about making everything. It's one thing to come into an environment. So say you're a designer and you're getting your first gig on like a live team or an established team. Well, then you can come in and they've built most of the context for you, right? And so then you're working within an established context. But if you're having to build the game from scratch, then you're doing stuff that on bigger teams or mid-sized teams as a designer you may have nothing to do with. Right? Like as a designer, you are often, you're not creating any of the assets, you're not creating any of the tools, you're not creating any of the code. Most of what you're doing in many cases on a mid to large size team is you're doing potentially initial documentation and ideation. You're doing, you know, you're working through the logic of things that need to be done, whether that be thinking through the logic of events or scripts or systems or, you know, balance. And so that could be everything from outlining stuff in Word, you know, or Notepad++ or whatever it is, to working in spreadsheets. And then you're often plugging that into the game to make it more player facing through some pipeline or tool set that's been established for you. You know, may or may not have been built to your specification. If you're a narrative designer, you're just writing up quests and characters and shit, right? Like you, if you're a systems designer, you may be solely focused on a specific system and its balance, right? Like maybe you're dealing with itemization or abilities or class design and balance, or you know, it could be other player facing systems like how does your guild interface work, right? Like what slots are we going to actually use for our characters, and how do, you know, are you working with a UI designer or potentially a UX designer and a UI artist to design what that paper doll looks like or that interface looks like, right? So Shiden says, yeah, I thought maybe I could just start learning from scratch, but that was a lot to digest on the first day. I do like your view of taking something and see if I can recreate it. Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, it's overwhelming for people. I've been around video games. I mean, I spent 11 years at Sony, primarily as a designer or in design leadership, before I became a producer, and then did the rest of my time as a producer or in production roles. And I would be curious and maybe a little cautious around anybody that's like feels that the role is easy or just yeah, it's not a big deal. I just there's always tons of shit to learn. So I feel like I'm still learning daily, like basic shit, right? But it could also just be that I'm a dummy. I don't know. Interesting. This guy didn't aggro. This guy didn't aggro. These guys are fighting though, so that's good. I would assume these guys probably had like a little wander radius on them. But anyway, speaking of Notepad++, let's do the thing that I said we were probably going to do. Because I actually would like to do it. Let's talk about other biomes, and I have 2 biome types in mind. Kumidar, who are you? The name's familiar, but I'm spacing on it right now. Because it's still giving me this ridiculous, like, possible ban evader monitor. I swear I just saw your name somewhere. Bruh. Don't bruh me. Look, this is what I'm seeing. Paint. Crop. You messaged me on Slack. Bruh, I'm not in Slack at the moment. Let me go down and look. Oh, wait. That's why I see it. I'm so used to just using your frickin' first name. Okay. Your first name already sounds like a fantasy name. I haven't been looking past the slash. I've been looking I've been looking at your name the whole time. I was like, why? It looks so familiar. Bruh. How do I make it here? I'm gonna make it stop giving me this message. You're modded. Maybe that'll stop them. Kumidar is one of our new designers, those of you that didn't recognize the name like me. Ban evader, mod, speedrun. Yep. Ban evader, you heard mod privileges, go to town. New designer / ban evader. Freaking all sorts of teams in here. That's a good point. It does not tell you. I think it stated it early on, Callum. It was but I don't remember what it said. Ugh, man, I maybe we should just kick everybody out of here and have a team meeting. There's so many of you in here. Callum's in here, Zukin's in here, John's in here, Bill's in here, Chinny's in here. Kumidar's in here, whoever that is. First's in here. Death by Gnomes is in here. Oh wait, you're not on the team. Too Tired to Care's in here. Eating Around's in here. I'll Go Dev's in here. Dulon's in here. Is it over already? No, I haven't started. All right, so I want to, maybe this will work, maybe this won't work. We've done, those of you that have been around, we've done in the past, we've done like brainstorming sessions on like what makes a good trade skill or, you know, shit like that. I want to get some ideas in 2 topics. So, and maybe it should be, maybe it's framed about, maybe it's, here, I'll make this bigger so you can read it. And I thought I had like another view that we could use for the brainstorm type stuff. There we go. Now the chat's in a different place, so that's maybe helpful. The topic is what? And you need to answer it in the form of a Buddhist koan. What do you like about forest zones? It's a weird question, but you know what I'm kind of going for. Copy. Is that a weird way to frame it? Basically, how can we drain your brains on interesting shit to put in? And I will not answer too many specific questions about what we already have planned for these zones. But I will monsters and memories. All right. So, wood elves. The Faerluin, or wood elves as they are more commonly called, once resembled their high elf cousins. Today, these keepers of Aetheril's great forest no longer appear as the elves they once were, having been denied shelter from the great cataclysm by the Slendrine. The Faerluin were spared when the Fae of the branch interceded. Unfortunately, all deals with the Fae come at a considerable price. When this new generation of elves returned from the Umbra, they found that they were born of 2 worlds, but belonged to neither. While reclusive and cautious, the wood elves are fair and hospitable. They are highly attuned to nature and share a special relationship with both the flora and fauna of the great wooded hills. Their preservers and ardent keepers maintain watch of the forest they've worked for centuries to rebuild. Their druids quickly travel the world via natural waygates, and their lambent wanderers, a collection of Faerluin bards and traders, roam the lands of Aetheril to conduct trade and diplomacy, spread their lore, and gain knowledge of the world beyond their woods. At home, the wood elves are monitoring the increasing growth of cults dedicated to the Fae of the branch, who seek to return the people and potentially even their lands back to the realm of the Fae. Okay. Well, that, I wanted to make sure, I was like, how much did we say on this topic? I just wanted to make sure there was no spoilage as we start talking about forest zones. So, frame that in your mind. And let's talk about forest zones. What kind of stuff do you like in forest zones? Use EverQuest examples. We love EverQuest examples. If we're talking about island zones, think about when you're traveling through the Ocean of Tears. What did you like about the OOT? When you're traveling over to Iridan, right? So that type of stuff. Like, what did you like about the zones? What about other zones? EQ2, Final Fantasy 11, did it have a similar sort of route? If it did, tell us what you liked about it. Giants randomly popping onto boats and killing people. I like that. Giants randomly popping onto boats and killing people. Gotcha. Loved passing mermaids on the rocks. Mermaids on the rocks. I might, maybe we do another new. Oh, I can't. Stupid application. So we'll try it this way until we run out of space. Lack of visibility and not knowing if a mob was in aggro range. I'm going to assume that is... I mean, that could be both, right? It could be foggy. Foggy on the islands. Now we're cooking. I'm going to have trouble keeping up. But let's just say lack of visibility and not know if mob's aggro range for both. Because I'm picturing fog now. Fog on the islands would be dope. Diverse amount of animal potential in forest. Always enjoyed forest zones using trees for a sense of height rather than usual buildings. Cultured tree enjoyer. Being segregated from the rest of humanity. Is that forest lich? And I may miss some of your stuff. I'm going to be doing some copying and pasting. Let's see. Forest zones, lots of critters, ground cover, trees blocking line of sight. Gotcha. Gotcha. Carnivorous flora, Bill says. Treasure maps. I think a couple of people said treasure maps. I'm going to grab this first one. And I'm going to put that, I'm assuming island for that though. Trying not to miss stuff. I like how forests can justifiably have a random, unfitting creature show up in the middle of it, like that one evil unicorn lesser fate arc. I like it. John liked talks because it taught me how to navigate with low vision distance, react quickly to mobs that suddenly appear, but the mystery of what could be ahead, sun clearing, empty maybe. I think that's applicable to both sets of zones still. Treasure maps, hunts, technically any zone could have them, but islands could have added message and a bottle option for finding them. Physique? I like it. Your gnome physique. Your name is that of a gnome's, but a gnome that is ripped. I like it. Little Quay says, or little, is it Little Quay or Little Kiwi? Says giants randomly popping on the boats is an idea that reminds me of Maple Story. Old travels by airship had a small chance for a very tough enemy to come and invade the ship, possibly killing. We'll grab it. It was cool kind of being taken on a tour of areas that are way too high level for me, kind of like WoW Classic Flight Path. I see what you're saying. That does make sense. Like, oh shit, one of these days I want to come back to these islands. DGC 2002. Got it. Callum said Final Fantasy 11 also did encounters on airships, Guy Kraken type thing. Right on. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what we can pull off with ships, especially the player-owned ones later. Creaking wood and crickets at night, ambient sounds of forest. Thank you, Chip. Namu says island. Seeing something in the distance you can't quite make out while you're on the boat. Having to decide if you want to jump off and swim and check it out. Right on. Forest zone. The feeling that you're away from civilization and exploring uncharted territory. Nice. Maybe that's what Lich meant. I don't know if he answered my earlier question. Resegregated from humanity, but I think that's what you're tapping into. Let me just check and see if you guys are. Let me move this. You probably can't see it very well. Cool. Forest, random clearings with either some mobs or some hermit. Or a small commune. Right on. Brownies and pixies in the forest. Well, we got a whole faith thing going on, as you saw by that description I read out. Bilbo says Nectulos was memorable to me because trees are deceptive. They are both landmarks and ignorable. When they all look alike, easy to get lost. A lone big gun or down tree is an anchor in the mind. I'm gonna grab trees are deceptive. Island Zone's Monkey Island soundtrack for inspiration. That will okay. Callum says you can also do fun things with weather seasonality in a forest. With a forest, are we doing conifers or deciduous trees? The season can cause leaves to fall. Wind can have rustling leaf sound at night. Forest with a firelit village hits different than nighttime in a city will. With regards to which trees, I would just say yes. We'll have a very diverse forest. And hopefully multiple forest zones over time, especially as the rest of Aetherell is built out. I like seeing large animals, whales, sea monsters, shark fins break below the water surface. Even if rare, increase the sense of danger. All right, Dargith, got it. Oh wait, I put this one will be replaced by this one. And we'll come over here and do this one. Cool. Nice. Islands, varying terrain, tropical versus rocky versus abandoned outpost. Feeling it. I like it. I'm glad we're doing this. Lots of good ideas in here. You're not getting any royalties for your ideas. I forgot to warn you on that. I'll delete this VOD if you ever try to take us to court and be like, that was my Rocky Island idea. Yeah, no. What's up, Stoic? Things are going good. Tim's Deep and OT camps were cool because they were pretty out of the way and generally secluded. Fair point. Creepy bird sounds from Nectulos. A lack of clear egress gameplay wise. Fun. Only here vibes for biomes and mobs. Best friend Beans. Thank you. I think that's also kind of depending on whether or not there's landmarks around, right? Timber steep equals zone that punishes you for not waiting for a boat or not having levitate. I hope you enjoy swimming for 265 hours. Sarazak sound. I'm not sure if it was a design thing or not, but 2 mentions I remember in EQ were super intense for me. First, run through Kithakor at night. First, break into fear and mad dash of Westwall and everybody being slaughtered. Yeah, we'll definitely have to try to evoke a little bit of that Kithakor feel just here with this day-night cycle, higher level undead smashing these guys behind us here. You saw that earlier. So it's definitely on our radar. Physique, thank you for the follow. What's up, Keebs? How you doing, bro? Make it not Elwyn Forest in WoW Classic. It's not a forest. Trees are too far apart. Make it hard to see, almost maze-like. I'd like a lot of trees with some alcoves and oasis in between, and a lot of fairy and demon stuff. All right. It's funny. I was kind of making the argument earlier with screenshots of like, it'd be kind of cool if our zone was clear at times, but I don't know. Maybe that's not going to be the vibe, or maybe it'll only be sometime. Dense trees. I'll tag that on that. Well, dense trees in some cases, but it sounds more like a lot of folks are just saying, hey, I want my vision to, I don't want clear line of sight, I think is the theme that I'm seeing with some of this feedback. Some tree leaves so large, elves construct tents or canoes out of them. Interesting. Forest zones taught me to strafe for long distance visibility. Thank you. Unchained added. Bilbo says an island can be an achievement all by itself. Getting to it is hard. So just being on one makes you feel like you did something exciting. It's naturally exclusive location. Yeah, so it's a bit of the travel commitment thing is an interesting one. It made me think about like even just going out to like farm gargoyles with my necromancer. I guess it really was kind of a commitment to get there. I'm like, fuck, I'm here now. I might as well spend the day. Think of the Hobbit's adventure in Mirkwood. Straying from the past should feel dangerous, Dargith says. Chaz Solo says, not an MMO, but I really enjoyed exploring the forest of Kingdom Come Deliverance. Even small patches of woods felt huge because of how claustrophobic it could get. Loved going back into the forest I'd explored already and seeing things I completely missed earlier. So potential to hide quite a bit. Secrets because of terrain plus trees. Nice. I'm gonna grab that. Yeah, it doesn't have to be MMO. Brent says lush trees, sunlight coming through abandoned villages, small lakes, rangers patrolling, Sasquatch. And keep in mind, this will be for, these are ideas for all of our forest zones. It's not just going to be one forest biome. We've got a few different areas that'll have forest, maybe even underground. And same thing with the islands. We've got some zones in mind that will be, you know, I think the easy tagline for you guys to kind of wrap your head around is like Ocean of Tears, underground. Keep says one nice thing about island zones is being able to go to something you see on a horizon line, sense of discoverability. I'll add it in there. I think we've hit that theme a bit, but it's a nice reinforcement to it. It's the reinforcements in this case. In the past brainstorms, I'll be, oh, we covered that, but here I like the reinforcement. Sasquatch. Did I ever tell you my Sasquatch story? When I was in the army, we were playing the bad guys in Louisiana against the 101st and the 82nd. We were all sitting around bullshitting, and I saw a literal Sasquatch jump up and run about 30 meters across the field and then collapse back down. And I was like, guys, Sasquatch. And we're all laying there smoking and joking. And they're like, what? I was like, I just saw a Sasquatch. I was convinced. I just saw a Sasquatch. And then another Sasquatch jumped up and ran and then went down. Come to find out, it was, I think it was a sniper team from like the 101st or whatever. And then we surrounded them and shot them. And they weren't really Sasquatches. And I was very disappointed. Sunken ships in the surrounding waters. What was that ship and why did it sink? Very good point, Chip. Scary Spectre Island and Sea Fury Cyclops that you can see from the boat is always a highlight. Was always a highlight of riding through OOT for me. All right, Chrono Zero. Again, reinforcing some of the earlier points. I like it. EQ2 had those flying islands in the zone. When I first saw Avatar, I was instantly reminded of it. No flying islands yet. Oceans, islands with caverns you can only get to by swimming. Hard to reach islands with mysteries, pirates, second ship, fishing. All right, Brent. Speaking of islands, one of our team members, John, has a wonderful game, or 2 games. You can get it on, or get them on Steam. Check out Salt 2. It's his most recent game. And if you like islands and you like sailing around and discovering shit, you definitely want to try those out. Scroll down. Yeah, so if you like the Salt games, the creator of those games, John, is one of our team members. Different John. We have multiple Johns. We have John NS, and then we have John who is typically in here will be the Pilgrim one, I think. And then John lives near Zillith. Chip. So let me scroll back up and catch up with stuff. I think the highlight of most zones unique loot. I agree with that. The highlight of zones, camps, everything. It's all about the loot. Faraway tree branches for people to RP on. Okay. Hopefully they're not getting weird. Cool to have a shipwreck, hidden cove, underwater ruins. Be cool to come across. Chrono Zero, did I already grab that? Was that the last one? Or did I just read it out? I'll grab it again. All right, give me 1 second. I'm going to try to catch up. Wood Elf Wardens escorting prison gnomes chained at their ankles along the forest for cleaning up the trash as they go for their past transgression. I'm not going to include that, Bill. No gnome hatred. Don't mind trees, geometry blocking, reducing vision, but fog and absolute darkness of the forest, it just ruins it for you? Interesting. I'll add that note. It's a counter note. Pearls and harvestable clams instead of mined from copper node. I like it. And you'll probably, if there's any problems with it, you'll probably be the one fixing. So, have at it. Along the line of making it easy to get lost in the forest with everything looking the same, I also love that in Neck Forest there were distinctly recognizable areas, Newbie Log, Halfling Ring, Bridge, that when you stumbled on while running, you can instantly know where you were. Cool. McAaron, I'm grabbing it. Forest zones in most games have to clear of ground. If you are in an unkept forest, there should be very varying topography and many dead ends and passable areas. Have too clear of a ground. I see what you're saying, Keebs, and I definitely get it. One of my favorite things about the Night Elf Zone, Teldrassil, was that it was one of the hardest zones to start in. But you'll have to describe why. Unchained Love Gargoyle Island, as everyone called it when low level. Then it became Spec Island as people got 39 plus. Great social transition. Fair enough. Unchained. Yeah, that mix. Oh yeah, because the specs were at the very top, and you were like, "Hey, can you buff me?" Or it seemed like it was often like a druid or somebody pulling the spec and kiting them, and then as a Necroz getting the gargoyles. Hidden Oasis, where Faded R ended up, was super cool. Grabbing it. I like that you literally never see the sun in G-Fey, Elfay, neck. I'm gonna write it as a note. But I definitely want to, for at least one forest with some like nice god rays and stuff. For forest specifically, showing cycle of life or seasons is always cool. Right on, Thulon. Sorry I'm so slow, guys, but you know, it is what it is. Yeah, temple or whatever where you spawned a fake Fadedar was dope. Callum says I should post some bits in the inspiration channels, but my favorite forest zones in the other games have been Old Forest and Lord of the Ring Online, complete with Tom Bombadil's house, and the Troll Shawls and Lotro as well, Moonglade and Classic WoW, Ronfire and Final Fantasy 11, and Water Run and Wildstar. Right on, yeah, post stuff from that in inspiration. Bill, who is actually working on the Forest Zone, said Witcher 3's intro area, White Orchard, had a cool vibe to it. Pretty dense trees blowing in the wind that limited visibility, but there was a lot of horse paths, trails that direct you around the interesting parts, the fields and forest, random noises in the distance. Gave it a sense monster could pop out anywhere. I'll post it in here. Would be nice to be able to make use. Yeah, I did. I killed Bigfoot. Normally fans. Would be nice. That's how far behind I am. Make use of different types of boats, even if there's two-person canoes. Work better than the EQ version. Yeah, that would be nice. It has come up. It has definitely come up. Having to deal with Faye and their bullshit is something I enjoy. Eating around says, all right, I'm glad. We might be able to accommodate that. Plenty of bullshit for you. What if the ocean team is cool but deep? Dark water terrifies you. What if the ocean team is cool but deep dark water? It terrifies the shit out of me, Chinny D. I'm not comfortable in our water a lot of the time. The more I think about Islands of Forest, the more I realize I just like visual storytelling opportunities. Put some stuff there that folk make up the story behind it. Love it. So do I. Soft world building in that sense is a lot of fun, and it's cool to watch people theorize. We've seen some interesting theories already in Discord and stuff, and you guys can definitely hit the ballpark on some things, and you're just often kind of wacky land on some other stuff, but I love it. Hey, Mr. the Cow. Sarzak says, I wonder if in low vis areas the nameplates of mobs could also be reduced. Always found that to be odd. Can't see anything but a bright name tag. I don't know how much we're currently doing that, but it seems feasible. Chip can answer that. think it's I think that's going from Subnautica. The lack of line of sight presents a great opportunity to use sound to set the mood. In their case, terror, but Subnautica also has a great story with all of the abandoned sites you explore. Well, nothing precluding us. Sorry, I've been gone a bit. I've been kind of dealing with family issues lately. Grandmother got cancer again, had a stroke last week. So, a week or so ago, it's stage 4 cancer. They apparently didn't get all of it during the first surgery. Dark Inside, I'm sorry to hear that, buddy. Good to see you. It's a shame that you're having to deal with that. G. Williker says Teldrassil is one of the hardest zones to start in because it was separated from the rest of the Alliance. It had a minor dungeon is absolutely not properly balanced. But could be skipped. It killed way too many players. Okay. Always loved Jungle Biome, but due to technical limitations, I've yet to see a game that's done it right and thick. The amount of vegetation, animals, and others could crush most computers. Yeah, it's really got to be done in like a caricature type of way. It's hard to do normally. Though I could have I could have sworn like the original. Was it the original Far Cry or whatever? That was kind of mind-blowing at the time for the jungle that it had. Cool. So I've caught up. I've caught up with you guys. I missed Bill's and Lich's thing. Some rare random play housing in the middle of the woods would be really cool. Player housing? Cool. I get what you're saying. Yep. What about on an island as well? Ooh. What if there's an old inn you can fix up along the boat path on an island? And then you could claim, you could get the deed to it, you could rent that, and you could set up a little inn or a shop or whatever you wanted. Gilligan's Island, perfect. Let's see. Island Boy housing. Dark Inside said, you've been struck by a smooth Williker. G. Willikers, that's all I'm going to hear from now on. Nomigan's Island. Shit. Anyone remember how peak it was in EQ2 when diving deep into Sol 6I for the first time, massive lava cavern after oppressive mining maze leading to it? Honestly, I don't think I did it in EQ2. I don't think I did it. Shit. I can't remember if I actually went through there. Random hermit housing in the middle of nowhere is cool. Can't be too common, kind of defeats the novelty. Yeah, no. Makes sense. And I think that's applicable to both zone types. Dark Inside said, bro, 6I and EQ2 is horrible to navigate, but easily the coolest zone in any MMO. I'll have to watch some videos on it. I don't remember it. If I was there, I definitely don't remember it. Kumar said, sorry I had a meeting. Did anyone mention Kith day-night cycle? Yes, but your elaboration on it will make the cut. I think day-night cycle on islands as well. Remote zones like an island present a good opportunity for faction neutrality if that's part of the game. Zone is remote and hard to survive, so cities are shared among the factions that are usually fighting each other. I'll copy it. Get the intent. Islands could have the potential for catastrophic weather events, either natural or in no way to leave. Kind of broken, but the firepot's room hidden in at a random place on the ocean kind of blew my mind the first time I saw it. For the forest, maybe something like Aviac House Village would be neat. Pixie nest somewhere. Copy it. Volcano lightning. For the other zone, not for the first of the island zones, but we may have a separate island zone that might be able to do something like that. Ocean of Tears. I love the merchant that sold research elementals. Or was it? No. Wouldn't be elementalist spells. Merchant that sold research. Mage spells? Enchanter? I don't think I've ever had to deal with it. I don't know. Did I go that mage spells? Maybe I did. But I don't think so. So I'll record that. Rare merchants. Ooh. What about having islands that rise and sink depending on the moon cycle? Maybe they're on the backs of sea creatures. That's some fancy shit, Keebs. I don't know if we can do that, but we'll definitely write the idea down. Something Starpire. Actual tide might be a big ask, but it would be dope. Put it on the list. Rare merchant made me think of merchant boats that would appear in random dock areas. Grabbing it. Right on. Is that it? Is that all you guys got? What do you like about forest zones? What do you like about island zones? I'd rather not see boats spawn, but a boat that moves around the world physically, that whole shit would be cool. What if it pulls up and then the NPC spawns? I mean, you know, we do have some limitations. Vines in a zone that allow players to access higher points like rope. Disappointed nobody mentioned Whirlpool. Whirlpool. Ultima. Deep. Would be nice if merchant boats resupplied local merchants with unique items that were limited as if a player had sold it to them. Oh, interesting. McCarran. Gonna add that. Would love to see a zone that has lava under the floors. May try to create in Blender. Try it, Dark Inside. What I really liked about forest and island zones are the music that Robert's gonna make. Fair enough, Callum. Mysterious island that is only accessible by a special boat that is rarely ever seen in the harbor. Interesting. That's doable. Oasis of Mar. There used to be a little rowboats players could take control of. Would be cool to have stuff like that in Island Zone. Yeah, we want to try it, Zukin. We definitely want to try that. That's come up in the mount and boats discussions with Ali, which for this, I think he said like getting mounts in will actually be the precursor to being able to do this type of stuff. Bill said Ultimate Star Whirlpool takes you to an alternate dimension. It can just take you to the deep. But I guess, you know what, I'm going to grab that just because it's kooky. It's something different. To the deep or to a different place. The alternate dimension. Steal the Vampire Coast from Warhammer. Vampire Pirates complete with undead sea monsters. I wouldn't say steal. I would say take inspiration from. Don't know if we'll have any vampires in our game, but if we do, then that's a cool idea. Let's see. Whirlpool, like the world. Belgrade. I think I'm sleepy and can't read worth of shit. They had to ride around the outside of the large whirlpool to build up enough speed to get through the bore. I'll copy that and then I'll Google and see if I can catch up on the conversation. The zone that builds up, because I know you're referencing something, and I'm like, I don't get the reference, and I feel dumb. Whirlpool. Like some Odyssey shit. Zone that builds up, then natural disaster, hurricane, tsunami, combine resets it to base. Listen, I was born in Florida. I know what that's about. It's funny, like watching Gilligan's Island as a little kid, whenever we were living in Florida, off and on. Gilligan's Island just was so Florida. Was it filmed somewhere in Florida? It had to have been. Man, I love that set so much. Oh, we're going to have to dig that up so that Jasmine can actually appreciate it. Been trying to expose her to old Americana. It was filmed in Hawaii. Well, that seems pricey. Seems like they should have just filmed it in Florida. It'd be cheaper. Merchants of far off islands give you the best price for items where are treacherous to get to. The opposite of the greedy vendors or the shady vendors. Yeah, we'll have to look into it first. What? try to make a stop motion Gilligan's Island episode out of Legos with your brother. That's awesome. Having a Venice-like city in an island zone would be cool. Forest? Hidden treasure in the trees, islands, hidden treasure everywhere. Alright, Scheiden. Whoops. I love Gilligan's Island too, but it was Marianne. Professor and an island made of boats. Snow Crash style. Mulligan's Island, where if you die, you do over without the XP penalty. Ba-dum-tsh. Rogue Pirate City in the ocean would be cool. Talking about some future zone stuff. Right on. Waterworld Trading Hub. Island, which is the back of a giant sea turtle. Unchained. For context, if the first forest is Wood Elf themed, what's the theme for this first island zone if it's not Volcano Lightning? It's not Volcano Lightning. The first island zones will be just a collection of islands that you're passing through. That'll be the Shallow Shoals, and so it's basically it's a big traversal zone that's just off the coast of Aetheryl, of the west coast. And so the theme for that island will be, or that theme for that zone will be variety. But we have another island zone, like a very specific zone, also on the book that that may or may not have a volcano. Interesting. I'm way less gassy than I thought I'd be tonight. First island needs to be nudist themed. Billow, no. Sunken City would be great. I don't know if there's plans to dive, so maybe it's just visually looked at. There are actually plans along those lines, but I don't know if we'll get it in for early access. You're welcome, Bilbo. I just burped. I burped and I was like, that's delicious. I cooked a good dinner again. But then that also reminded me it's like a burp. I hate, dude, I'm just gonna be honest with you. I hate doing the stream if I like, because for me, I do the stream in the evening, so I hate doing the stream, you know, starting at 8 after I've had dinner, and whatever I ate's like got me super gassy. Then I'm like sitting here feeling bloated for 3 hours. That's not fun. So, did I grab? I put this in the wrong place because I grabbed the right one. So let's do this. Forest environment, giant hollowed out logs you can walk through, or giant tree stumps with a hole you can drop down into, or maybe a false tree stump somewhere that moves upon clicking to reveal an underground hideaway from from Chronos Zero. But then we got Sunken City. Stretch goal for both forest and islands. What's the player language is in? Have uncontacted tribes that you can visit, learn the language and ways. We have language in. So I'll add it. Ghost ship. Death by Gnomes. Right on, Ghost ship. I don't think we have that one yet. Boom. Ghost ship. Anything else? It's 10:30. Lich said, undead sailors. Sea monsters that hunt you and try to sink you. On it. Did I see the Kellethan comment? Maybe not. Is it the Wood Elf starting area in EQ was a great memory? Enjoyed the city and trees. Made you feel like a kid in a big tree house. Got you covered. We got you covered there. We're good. Yes, we do call it Kellethic. A city in the clouds. Forest city in the clouds. Flying Dutchman, only a ghost fire I can fathom anymore. Is the fathom part of that? Is that a pun? It's a bad one. I'll walk the plank. Yeah. Maybe for Island Zone 2, but I was thinking in general, something like Final Fantasy 11's Juno Zone would be interesting in that Final Fantasy zones via race were very far apart and mostly disconnected, but Juno is supposed to be a central shared city that had a connected auction house while all other cities had their own auction house. We do not have an auction house, but I see what you're saying there. I mean, Night Harbor kind of fits that build to some degree. Tinkers making zip lines in forests might be a neat travel method. Interesting. Add climbing. Why the Kappa? We might. Why not? Just a few more animations. I think we already have a climbing animation. We're good. Shouldn't be too hard. I mean, we've already got climbing. You just can't do it everywhere. Don't forget a glider. Once we have climbing in. What else you got? Breath of the Wild, Death by Gnomes. Which is a very different game than Raid Shadow Legend. What else you got? Two topics were the two different themes. Player progressed areas like the AQ event in WoW or Hollow Shade Moor and Luckland. Breath of the Wild is a dope game. Raid Shadow Legends, trash dog shit. I don't know, man. I've heard some people like Raid Shadow Legends. I haven't played it myself, but I heard some people like it. Floating Tree City was suggested. Are you saying that the Tree City is floating in the ocean, or what do you mean by floating? What's up, Justin Beard? How is your foot doctor appointment? Overly long? Hey man, it's better than not getting an appointment though, right? Enjoyed the clickable random tree and plane of mischief that zoned you out. Imagine how long it took to figure that out. Is that a suggestion for here, or is it just a memory? Loading atoll. How do you pronounce that? Atolls? 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 I've only read it. I've read it a ton, but I don't think I've ever said it out loud. It's funny, for whatever reason, that made me think of like, what if EQ's KFC was actually built on over the water? All right, I'll grab it unchained. Actually, do this. And then put this here. Cool. Cool, man. Google says there's a minimum of 3 legit ways to pronounce atoll. 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 Yeah, tons of cool ideas in here. This was fun. You guys don't mind us stealing all your cool ideas, or maybe none of them, then we'll have to do this some more. I was thinking this would be fun. Whenever we do this, it's always a good time. You guys wind up having just a ton of interesting random ideas. I am crashing. My monster energy's done, which is nice. It's nice to crash at towards the end of a stream because I know I'll be able to climb upstairs and just go to bed. So nice. Oh, I'm already looking forward to tomorrow morning's coffee. Best part of my day is waking up to coffee. Travel between trees would be don't with rope bridges. Don't or dope? Justin Beard, Airsoft Adventure was awesome. I mentioned a little bit of it at the beginning if you done. Travel between the trees would be done with rope. Bridges. Clean that up for you. What about having a tree so big in the forest zone it has another zone inside it? So we have an idea for I'm not going to spell it, beans. And maybe we've already talked about it. I don't know, but I'm not going to say anything about it here, but I will allude to it. We have an idea for a dungeon or a mini dungeon for a forest zone that's so tight. So it's going to be so much fun. Can't wait to do it. We know what it is already. We've already kind of prototyped aspects of it. Can't wait to do it. We can get ahead of the curve on some of the stuff we've committed to, then I think we might be able to, because I don't think it's on any of our lists. So this would be a additional one added in. Yeah. We gotta get ahead on some things, because Chinny, you know, the stuff that you and Bjorn have been doing, and you know the stuff you've been doing. It'd be nice to do some forest and potentially some island versions of the stuff that you guys have been doing. But forest would be cool. I think we could do a little forest something. Come up with, yeah. Yeah. I was thinking about that earlier today, because there's like some nooks and crannies and stuff. I was like, yeah, I was thinking about those, and it just reminded me that I was thinking about that. Yeah. What about a zone inside of Giant Beer Stein? That's a different brainstorming session. Justin Beard, save that one. I hope the secret stuff was custom gnome hats. How did you know, Thulon? Shit. Secrets revealed. Zukin, yeah, the day does kind of go downhill after that first cup of coffee. But then I immediately follow it with another cup of coffee, which my coffee cup's a half liter. So then that's a liter of coffee before I even want to get out of bed. I'm so old. You know how much, and this will segue into me getting out of here. You know how much caffeine I had to consume today to make it through today? Oof. I had my first half liter cup, my second half liter cup. By then I was up and around. Went to the grocery store, bought a Red Bull, had a Red Bull, worked some. Right about the time that Jasmine was getting off work, because Wednesday she's off work a little bit early, I had another cup of coffee, so that's another half liter. And then around dinner time, as I was starting cooking, I started this monster and then finished it. So that's a fair amount. Justin said, oh yeah, doctors told me I didn't have blood clots, so I guess that means I can go hardcore on caffeine now. Nice. Enjoy it. Congrats. That's like $17 in caffeine? No. Red Bull is okay. I got it at the kiosk instead of grocery store, so it was $2.50. Monster is like $1.50, and then all of the coffee is instant. We just drink instant coffee here, Byra, so it's pretty cheap. I'm not like, we're not running out and grabbing Starbucks. And a big ass thing of instant coffee is €9. McAaron. I do that kind of thing every once in a while. A little detox. I am no newbie to chemical abuse. Though it was funny, when I was in rehab, I did drink a shitload of coffee. Fair to Euro USD is almost 1-to-1 these days. It's always been pretty close to each other. 20 cents here and there. What is it currently? Let me look. It's interesting every once in a while buying some shit in the US and being like, oh wow, that was cheaper. USD to Euro. Yeah. 109. Not bad. How do I pronounce that? Chimikiso? Thank you for the follow. Instead of coffee and burgers, should I sell coffee and cigarettes out of your Wagoneering cart? I don't know that we're gonna have cigarettes in game, but we'll probably have like pipes and tobacco. To sell cocaine? I don't think we'll have cocaine in game. I don't even know if we'll have gnomish nose dust. And Dark Inside says, I got energy drink and a pack of Yu-Gi-Oh cards from the store to cheer me up. Nothing's better than a smell new pack of cards. Fair. I hope it worked for you, buddy. You need it. We'll keep it down low. Just call it fairy dust, but you know what we mean. Elvish space powder. Oh man. Why did I just wipe my nose? I swear. It's just monster energy. Alright, Chaz Solo said gotta run. Gotta catch another stream. Hey, enjoy the other stream, you traitor. I've gotta run as well, because I need to watch the other stream. I am actually gonna wrap it up. Oh, glad to catch another stream. I've read that as gotta catch another stream. Alright, you're no longer a traitor. I jumped the gun on that one. Fuck, I'm tired. Alright. You know what? While we're doing our goodbyes, let's say goodnight. I'm tired. It was nice to stream again after a 20-day hiatus. Thank you for the brainstorm. You guys are awesome. We'll do more of this soon. Like I said, as soon as Nick's real life situation allows for it again, I definitely want to get him on stream some more so that we can do some more discussion of like classes and abilities and shit like that. The last time we did that was fun. Octobercan, thank you for the follow. Everybody, you guys be cool out there until Friday. I'll be back again on Friday and we'll hang out some more. Figure out what we can do then. Dark Inside, see ya. Lich, have a great one, buddy. See ya, Keebs. You're welcome, Monotonous. Thanks again for the cool video. Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it. Yeah, it was fun. Brent, see you. Yeah, great ideas in here. Thanks, guys. 2 Chains, see you, buddy. Chinny D, thanks for popping in. Death by Gnomes, one of these days. Yeah, Eco starts Friday as well. Oh, maybe that's what I'll do on stream. Eco, yeah, I knew it was this weekend, but I was spacing out on... Oh, wait, is it gonna... It probably won't... Is it going when I'm streaming, or is it later in the evening? Either way, you guys got to check out Eco if you haven't already. And we'll mention it more in Discord. Evercraft Online. be sure to check it out. It's coming this weekend, playtest. Viros, see you. John, see you, buddy. Kumador, thanks for not being... yeah, thank you for not making fun of the fact that I've been staring at your name the whole time in Slack, and I was like, it seems so familiar. See you, Callum. Scheiden, take care. Yeah, watch the VOD, Justin Beard. Later, Zukin. Hey, Isan. Lurkin is all right by me. See you. Later, Bilbo. Good night, McCarran. Chrono Zero, thanks again for your ideas and participation. Namu namu namu. Thank you. Not the game Echo, no, or Eco. Evercraft Online. Checks. See you later, Bill. All right, guys. If that's about it, then I will see everybody on Friday. Have a great Thursday, I guess, and see you then. 1 p.m. Eastern. That's only 7 my time. Okay. Then I might be able to stream it. Awesome. Awesome. All right. See you guys. See you, Talet. You're very welcome. Thanks for being here. See you guys.